So people are just passing out dangerous information and putting other people's lives at risk. And most especially in the Sandy Hook scenario, we have the Christopher Rodia character, we have the Gene Rosen character, and we have the Robbie Parker character. And these guys were getting lambasted across the internet. And it's a dangerous thing, as Gene Rosen being published as saying he was a member of the Screen Actors Guild, which turned out to be false. But when the guy posting USA Hitman, he was saying, well, look, I have a full-time job. I don't have time to research this. I just think it's interesting, and I post it out there. But at the same time, you know, Chris Rodia and Gene Rosen and even Robbie Parker are receiving death threats now. And I really believe that if people are going to be, they have to be more careful throwing this information out there, and that these type of collateral damages, like these three guys, Gene, Chris, and Robbie, they will bring down the alternative media if people aren't careful with what they're saying, what they're doing. This is very real business, putting yourself on the record. And you know, I just wanted to warn not to take it lightly, because you might be your own downfall by ruining other people's lives. Because, you know, Christopher Rodia, the car that was reputed the suspect vehicle, he's like, I wasn't there, but that doesn't mean his vehicle wasn't there. You know, and this guy was a known criminal and a drug dealer. They could have easily confiscated that vehicle and used it in a crisis action type of scenario, because that's what this seemed to be. And of course, there was a crisis action scenario going on just 19 miles away from Sandy Hook, an exact scenario going on in another school. There's so much to deal with in this story, but we run out of time, so let's move on with that. I just wanted to people to heed that warning about the, you know, just
Freeman,
check your sources.
It's important to do that, because we get used to having so many websites and alternative media hosts like never before. You know, years and years ago, it wasn't like this. You had to read books to get a alternative perspective. You couldn't just listen to AmericanFreedomRadio.com or some of the other networks that are out there. And so Freeman, I think some people, and I don't mean that to be insulting, but some people just get lazy. And we get used to a certain mindset. Okay, there's a new world order. They're out to get us. And perhaps, you know, there are other entities that are behind the Bilderberg Group, behind these secret societies. But if we just regurgitate, especially if it's fearful information on a spiritual note, I always like to end shows on a spiritual note, we can lose ourselves in the process. If all we're seeing is just regurgitating information about FEMA camps and death camps and drones, if someone's just going to believe blogs that they read and think that that's the only truth just because it is a truth, they may not know or realize or feel inside that there is a power of light and goodness that is above all of that.
Right. And you get lost in just that single perspective. And really, that's the Chicken Little. I mean, I swear to you, go watch that movie again so that you understand how the psychology works and how they play us on both sides. They expect an Alex Jones. They expect a rebellion. They expect that, and they engineer that as well. You know, they know your reaction to this. So we've really got to be on cue of our hearts so that we don't react to their cues.
It used to be really taboo to criticize Alex Jones. And that's no longer. People are starting to wake up, and we don't have to spend any time on this, but you and I have had our own awakening that there are some people that come into this world that are there to inspire others to get active, but they're at what I call, and I don't want to offend anyone, but level 1 awareness. You know, and there's a whole other area that we should feel free to investigate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, this last Pope thing, I've heard about it for years. I know, Freeman, that the powers that be can manufacture events to convince people to give up hope. Oh, why should we try? Why should we, protest? Why should we blog if it's the end of the world? And we're here to wait for the return of Jesus Christ. And, I think that we should proceed with a little bit of caution in terms of these prophecies. But I've heard some say, quite a few say, that the Malachi prophecy, of which I know very little about, and I'm sure you know quite a bit about, I've heard people say, Freeman, that it's accurate. That even the prophecy about the next pope or the deceiver, that it's Pope Peter in the prophecy. And they're looking at a Pope Peter, I think right now as one of their top candidates for the next pope.
And I think he's black.
So the question is, who's the Antichrist?
Right. I mean, I mean, it's as if we're living the movie 2012. I mean, the Pope abdicating, the Pope resigning, the Queen of Netherlands is abdicating. Now she's the head of the Bilderberg Group, right? And we've got these people just kind of vanishing like they did in the movie 2012. You're wondering if they're heading for their subterranean bases. And meanwhile, we're watching as the closest pass of an asteroid is coming towards this planet. DD 2012, this potential threat to the planet, heading 17,000 miles. I mean, that's half the distance that jets fly over. That's that's really close. This asteroid hurtling towards planet Earth, and at
how
the
many
same
different?
time,
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. How many different meteor crashes have taken place recently, Freeman? Is it just Russia? I'm seeing lots of stuff on Facebook and the internet that's going all over the place, and it's difficult to make sense out of it.
All right, I didn't want to go. Let's get the Pope out of the way. But
I mean, it's just what a week to have Freeman on.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's everything I prophesied. Really, I mean, not everything I projected or what I researched, because I saw the pattern and I started to lay it out. So I made a picture of Barack Obama with an asteroid hurtling towards this crowd of people, and I made this in May of 2009. Because I knew the next step of the agenda was asteroids and aliens. And so, I wanted to have it up before it happened. And lo and behold, December of 2009, they announced Apophis, the doomsday asteroid hurtling towards planet Earth. And Apophis is, of course, the Egyptian Satan. And if you believe anything about my Akhenaten theories, then you would understand that having an asteroid named Apophis, who is the nemesis of Akhenaten's god Aten, coming down to strike planet Earth, and they announced it after I make my artwork of this very incident, and then it all comes to life. But here we are with the Pope going away, the Queen of the Netherlands abdicating her throne, asteroids coming at us, and meteors striking in Russia. I think there was reports of others in Cuba, but what, okay, so with the Pope now, let's just throw out that right before he resigned, he was at this peace at St. Peter's Basilica, the peace conference or peace gathering going on, and he releases a dove. And a seagull, a bird of prey, comes down and attacks his dove of peace. This is right as he's getting ready to quit. Now, this Pope, of course, is a Nazi youth, a Nazi advocate. He was the head of the Inquisition. He, of course, getting caught up in all of the pedophilia and homosexual problems in the Catholic Church. He was raised in Bavaria, where the Illuminati comes from, and was doing intensive research on the Illuminati and found this misplaced 600-year-old document that exonerated the Knights Templar of all their wrongdoings in worshiping Baphomet and kissing each other on the anus and peeing on a cross. All of a sudden, that was all just done away with, actually, and I knew this was coming. I was able to talk about it before it happened. I was discussing his situation and investigating the Illuminati. And then next thing I know, lo and behold, he exonerates the Templars. And here he goes. And now he's the one who sent the two gentlemen. Now, he had two astronomers that came out and said, aliens are our space brothers, and sent them off to work with CERN. Now, CERN just reached its 100 petabyte level in its computer system, so it's really ready for like mind transfer technology. That's going to come up later with the archons. And then, of course, when the Pope resigned, the lightning struck St. Peter's Basilica. And so, are there lightning from heaven, which in the words of Jesus, lightning from heaven is the name of, or what they called Satan in the Bible, and Satan fell like lightning from heaven. And in the name, in the word language of Jesus, this is Barack Obama. Those are the words for lightning from heaven striking the basilica. Now, what I want to say is that I have been databasing in my Space War News for 4 years now these incoming fireballs that have not had a rock that comes in with them. I started databasing the idea of us hurtling meteors at the planet all the way back in my HARP video. So back in 2006, I put out HARP, and it talks about this meteor weapon, because when HARP was being tested in 96, I think it was, maybe 99, they were testing it as a meteor deflection shield. And lo and behold, if a meteor didn't come straight down at the HARP facility and explode in the atmosphere, and this caused a sonic boom and an earthquake in Anchorage, Alaska, which, they had never had such a thing. They thought it was the end of the world. So first they got the sonic boom, and then about 3 hours later, the earthquake struck. And this was in Alaska in 1999 while they were testing HARP as a meteor deflection shield. And a meteor just happened to hit the shield, right? So I'm saying that's too good to be true. So I started tracking these things, and I was tracking incoming fireballs or bolides that were a mystery to all of the astronomers and everyone watching, because they could never find a rock to go along with this. But what would happen is there'd be a sonic boom, and then it would be followed by an earthquake. As I started to track all these news articles in my Space War news section, they came forward. The military announced that incoming fireballs are now classified as secret. And you can go look at this article on my website on freemantv.com, that these fireballs were suddenly classified as secret, and has caused an uproar in the astronomy realms. And I'm watching it all because I've been following what's going on with this. So what it seems is that we might have this meteor device. So now we have Zhirinovsky of Russia, right? He's the Speaker of the State Duma. And he's the Russia's Liberal Democratic Party leader. Zhirinovsky is accusing the U.S. that there were no meteorites that struck and killed 1,000 people on the day after Valentine's Day in Russia. He says there is no meteor involved. This is a U.S. weapon that we are using against him. And I have been databasing the information that might prove he's correct.
Wow. I also read that another member of the military has said, also strangely enough, that Russia should develop a weapon that will allow them to shoot down asteroids and meteors. You have one person saying the U.S. is using a weapon against them, and you have another saying that they need a weapon to defend against meteors and asteroids. Very strange.
Right. Well, yes, and this was all part of the structure, and it all came with Apophis. As soon as that became a warning, then you saw JPL's asteroid watch go up. We saw all of the different infrared arrays and all of the different satellites that they've launched to watch incoming objects. It's become a huge effect. Now, Russia has a point, though, because we went into war with space, or we went into space with war. And this is something that we had signed agreements and contracts to say that we would not do. But we just recently relaunched the third mission of the X-37B. Now, this is the super secret space shuttle, right? About the size of a pickup truck known as the Flying Twinkie. And you can see it on my Space War News section, and you can see the launch. So right now, the X-37B is orbiting the planet. Last time they launched it, it orbited the planet for 240 months. It was twice as long as they had actually built the thing to do. And when they launched this time, there was a mysterious explosion in space. It was reported by CBS. It was seen by an amateur astronomer, filmed. And you can see that in Space War News section as well. This mysterious explosion in space when the X-37B was up there. So, it's very possible. Now, the X-37B is a robotic autonomous space plane. We're at the moment of Battlestar Galactica. On the International Space Station at this moment is a telepresence robot. That is a robot that you can transfer your mind into so that you can manipulate and do things. Now, I was telling you, CERN's computer just reached 100 petabytes. This is pushing the type of data that we need to do mind transfer technologies. This is the very opening to this story. Why do you think everybody's paying billions of dollars into CERN? These are the guys that gave you the internet, gave you the World Wide Web. You can't underestimate CERN. And they're punching holes into the other dimension. This is the idea of the archons. So if you have this ability, like when the Norway spiral occurred and you're pulsing a ionospheric heater into this